Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start with basic forms of output. But before I get into that, I just want to make sure you realize something. So because you're using the pre-built project that I give you, which has this simple HTML file which calls these other two scripts, this HTML file creates a drawing canvas. So this canvas is 800 by 600, and it's automatically the first thing that's shown up on the screen, which means anything that we want to show outside of that drawing canvas is going to appear after the screen. So if I open up the project here, or go to the website for this, this is what it looks like. You can see the gray border around the canvas itself. That means any output I do is going to show up below that canvas, which for our purposes for testing and just learning this product is not really useful. So what if I want to get rid of the canvas? I don't want to completely get rid of it. I just want to make it kind of unseen at this point just for my testing purposes. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take the dimensions of the canvas and set it to 0, 0. So it's going to be very, very tiny. And then I'm going to save. And if I go back to Chrome here and I run it again, I refresh, you can see that it's essentially gone. It's actually there. It's a 0 by 0 and it's got a 1 pixel border around it. So in reality, it's really about 2 pixels, one for each border width around that 0 size canvas. But for our purposes, it effectively makes it disappear and allows us to do other things within our programs. And again, if you're coming to this video from an external source, just to give you a brief little look, the main.js, which is where we're going to be doing all of our coding. For today, we're going to do all of our coding outside of the draw, because we don't need to repeat the draw commands. We're just going to do it down here. The helper.js is the support file that I've given everybody, which essentially goes through some basic drawing commands and simplifies something. So for example, to draw a line, instead of specifying all 3 of these lines of code, just give me a start point and an end point, and that will draw a line. We'll get into all these drawing commands later, though, once we have a little bit more time. You can see that there's quite a few different options, and here's even some options for text and whatnot, which we'll get into shortly. In any case, back to the main.js. Now, when we want to do output, there are 3 different types of basic output commands that we can do within JavaScript, and each one serves a completely different purpose. So the 3 commands, I'm just going to comment them out as I go. The first one is lowercase c, console.log, and an opening closing brackets and whatever text it is that we want to display right there. The next thing we're going to do is document.write. Again, some text inside the brackets. Let me just fix that right there. And then finally, the last basic one we're going to be looking at is sorry, lost my train of thought here. So the last one we're going to be doing is an alert command, alert. And then again, some text. We'll explain each one as we go. So we're going to start off with console.log. What console.log is, it's more for the programmer. The user will never actually see whatever text is you're doing. It allows you to output certain information to try and help fix any bugs or anything like that, or just keep track of any important information you need to do during the development process. But it's very easy to use. We just type in console.log and then whatever text we want to output. So for our case, let's say this is a console statement. So what I want you to notice is, first of all, to do this command, we got to call the whole thing console.log. So it's saying make a log statement to the console, and then we specify that text by putting it in quotation marks. That tells JavaScript that it tells the system that what we're doing is we're displaying text. We're going to go and talk about how we can modify this in a minute, but for now, you can assume that we're just going to display some text. So what we can do is we can go into our program once I save, and when we go into here and we rerun it, oh, nothing shows up. That's because I can't see the console. So if I hit F12 to bring up the developer panel, we can see here, and if I go to the console, we can see this is a console statement. So it did actually show up, and it knows it came from main.js on line 11. So we go to the sources, we look at line 11, there it is. So we actually are getting the statement that we expect to do. Now we can do a lot of different things with this. You don't have to just output text. I can actually output just about anything. For example, I could output the number 5. And S, or Control S to save it, and then I run my program again, and I go to the console. There's my 5. Well, let's go back and let's do something else. Let's do something a little bit more complex. I can actually do a whole expression. I can actually do a whole expression that's going to evaluate to a result. Again, if we save and we go back to our file and we run it, we get the actual result of the expression. That's not it. We can actually do even more. So let's take that expression that we were working on a second ago and let's surround it in quotes. So now it's expecting that to be text. Well, let's not disappoint. Let's try it out. So we run our program, hit F5, and we actually get the text 5 plus 6. Now a second ago we were actually getting the result of the equation. The difference now being the fact that I wrapped it around in quotation marks, so it doesn't even realize that it's numbers anymore. It just thinks that it's straight up text. What if I wanted to do both in the same line? Well, I can do that. Let's say I want to display both the equation as well as the result. So I can do something like this. Now if I wrap this in brackets, it'll do the equation. It follows standard Bevan's rules, so it's going to do brackets first. Brackets, exponents, division, multiply, addition, subtraction, if you remember that. Now if I save this and I run the program again, we actually get 5 plus 6 equals 11. Now let's backtrack and see what I did there. You can see that I took the text and I added to it an expression. So the way this actually works is that it evaluates the brackets first. So it essentially evaluates these and it says, hey, that's actually an 11. So it kind of substitutes the 11 there automatically. We don't even see it actually happen. And once it's done substituting it, it then takes that and it kind of adds it on to the end of the text. What do you mean add? How can we add text and a number? Well, JavaScript is smart enough to say, you know what? Let's treat that number as text, and we'll kind of add it to the end of the previous text. It's smart enough to realize that it can't add both text and numbers together. It's not physically possible. So it's going to combine them, almost stack them end to end. We have a special name for this. It is concatenation. Hope I spell this right. C-O-N-C-A-T-nation. Concatenation. It means when we're kind of stitching together two pieces of text. Now in this case we're stitching together text and a number, but it essentially converts that number to text once it's done calculating it. So we can actually do this. Now watch what happens if I take away the brackets around the 5 and the 6. Now if I save this and I run it again, I get 5 plus 6 equals 56. That's like if you're trying to mess with somebody and they ask you, hey, what's 1 plus 1? You say, well, it's 11. Well, we both know that's not actually true. You're just messing with them. So we go back. What actually happened here? Well, what it did is it did not treat this plus as an addition. It treated it as a concatenation because, like I said before, it essentially converts the numbers to text. And since there's no brackets around this saying, hey, treat this as an expression, then it actually treats it as text, one piece at a time. So it says 5 plus 6 equals concatenate 5. Now concatenate 6. So it looks like it's actually saying 5 plus 6 equals 56. So that's console.log and some basic commands. There's a few other things that we can do with this as well. Believe it or not, you can actually add HTML code in here. So if I wanted to, I could add in something like this. Let's make it bold. So if I put in a slash, or if I put in the B tag, B stands for bold, and then I end the tag right here, can get a little messy to read, but that's basically how it works. And then I save and we run our program. We're not actually going to see the result here. We're actually going to see the tags. Now when we do our other commands, when it shows up actually in the window, you're actually going to see the results of those tags actually do something. But you can still put it in there without any problems. So we're going to stop there for now, and then the next video we're going to look at document.write and alert in the alert command.